Today in the studio, we are here with Lloyd Waters of Long Range Shrine Club. How are you?
I'm doing quite well.
Good.
Really nice to see you again, Steve.
Thank
Nice.
you. Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to see you again too, because I've seen you on some of the tapes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So you've been away from Burgess for many years.
28 years now. 28, little over 28 years. We left here in 1988. I finished my term as mayor here in mid-August that year, just after the come-home year of 88.
Yes.
And we moved to Corner Brook, and we've been living there ever since.
Yes, but.
Yeah.
So you are involved with the Shrine Club. So what is it now that you do in the Shrine Club?
I'm president of the Long Range Shrine Club in Corner Brook. It was originally formed in the early 80s, or 1981, 82, as the Corner Brook Shrine Club. And really at that time was localized in that area. Now in actual fact, 5-6 years ago since I became involved, we changed our name to the Long Range Shrine Club because we have patients now really. We cover the whole geographic area of the Long Range Mountains,
yes,
and including the area of the south coast here. We have patients from Francois, Grey River, Ramia, Burgeo, all the way up to Port aux Basques, and all the way to the Northern Peninsula, St. Anthony. So if there's a patient that needs our assistance in any of that geographic area, then we cover that area now as the Long Range Shrine Club.
Yeah. So what made you become a part of this, or have you always been a part of the Shrine Club?
No, actually, I only became involved after I left here in Burgeo. Of course, I had a fairly extensive involvement as a volunteer here in the town of Burgeo with the formation of the Burgeo Broadcasting and on the council and one thing and another like that. Yeah. That's another story for another time. But, and with the Burgeo Road, very involved with getting that road built and so on. Yeah. And I guess after we left here, I got much more involved in my children became teenagers. They were involved in music. They were involved in. Our son Greg was involved in hockey, and our daughters were involved in music and in swimming and that kind of stuff. So our activities became much more focused, volunteering with the groups that they were involved in at the time.
That's right.
And when they finished high school and went off to university, I became involved as a mason in Corner Brook, and from that got involved with the Shrine Club because, of course, the Shrine was involved with assisting children who needed help, and that was near and dear to my heart. And as a volunteer, you just couldn't decide that now there's nothing else to do. You're going to stay involved, and that was where my heart was at. And so I became involved with originally at that time it was called the Corner Brook Shrine Club, and that goes back now to about 2004, 2005. So it's 12, 14 years ago.
Yes, but. Yeah. So now, what is some of the main things now like the Shrine Club does for people and kids?
It's really focused on children.
Yeah.
That's what Shrine Clubs are all about. There's right now there are over 500,000 Shriners all over North America and Mexico, Hawaii, that area. Some in Europe and some in South America, but the bulk of them are in North America. And the focus is on our hospitals. We operate, Shriners operate 22 hospitals throughout North America and Mexico. The United States one in Hawaii itself. The one that really is the focus for, I guess there are two that are really the focus for a lot of the work that we do in Newfoundland. That's our Montreal hospital. Yeah. We just built a new Montreal hospital, and at another time I'll get you a nice picture of that. But that was just opened last fall, 2015. It's a hospital that we spent $350 million building over a period of time, and the Shrine Clubs in Newfoundland contributed almost $1 million to that. Towards that. It was. We had a major capital campaign raising the funds to do it. Our club in Corner Brook, over a 5-year period, put $50,000 into that, $10,000 a year for 4 or 5 years, and is being recognized actually next weekend in St. John's by the Hospital Corporation for that major contribution. Yeah. And at that hospital in Montreal, we do, it's mostly orthopedic associated work in Montreal, but we also do a series of other ones associated with people with spinal cord injuries, with issues associated with or other orthopedic issues that are related to another condition that they have. Sometimes it's a congenital defect, sometimes it's as a result of accidents and so on. Right?
Yeah.
The other hospital that people would be probably very familiar with would be our hospital in Boston. And Boston Hospital has been around for years and has been specialized in burn care. And so a lot of the children that were burned in the past, they would be flown to our Boston Hospital and receive treatment. We have one patient from Corner Brook now who several years ago had burn as a result of fire in the Corner Brook area. And that child was receiving treatment at the Janeway in St. John's. And finally it got to the point where the team of physicians at Janeway in St. John's indicated there's some specialty reconstructive work you need now, and it was particular with the ear.
Yes.
The child had lost an ear, most of it, and most of the other one. And Janeway felt that they didn't have the same ability that was available at Boston. Yep. Because of over the years, Boston's built up a tremendous amount of ability to do reconstructive surgery associated with burns that others haven't had.
Yep.
And so as a consequence of that, that child was referred to our Boston hospital, has made now several trips, has now begun the process of having the reconstruction done, and will essentially end up with 2 ears that you probably, when you look at it, you wouldn't even know that it's a reconstructed human ear. That's right. Yeah. So that treatment is ongoing. Yep. We also, and so people would know Boston for that area. But we have also patients who've got severe spinal cord injuries that often get flown to our Philadelphia hospital. Okay. And the Philadelphia hospital, actually, they specialize in spinal cord injuries. Okay. If you go look at our website, www.Mazzol, or just search Mazzol Shriners, you'll see our website. Mazzol is our parent body in Newfoundland. And you'll see the website, story on the website. There's 2 individuals there now. One who was injured in a skiing accident in Clarenville some years ago, who spent 5 or 6 months in Philadelphia, and who basically, his treatment physicians were indicating to him that he would probably have to learn how to use a wheelchair. Yeah. He's now walking with assistance, with crutches and with a cane, and he's continuing with his therapy, and essentially we've been able to do that for him and his family. Yes, boy. Yeah. Yep. So there's a multitude of other injuries that we treat, but exclusively it's for children under 18. Yeah. Although if you're a patient at a Shriners Hospital and you reach your 18th birthday, the treatment will continue until you transition over into the healthcare system, into what we call the adult healthcare system. That's right. Yeah. And whatever treatment you require is done free of charge from the time you leave Newfoundland until you get to whichever hospital, whether it's Montreal, Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago, or if we have to send you to one of the other hospitals that provides care in the South United States. There is no charge to the patient, and there's no charge to the guardian. That's totally covered by the funds raised by Shriners.
That's crazy. Yeah. Crazy. So now you guys got a Christmas calendar draw on go. So what can you tell us about that, and how can people get involved in that?
Well, this is one of our fundraisers. As I indicated now, the club in Corner Brook, the Long Range Shrine Club, the one that I'm president of now, we provide $30,000 per year towards the cost of transportation of our patients on the West Coast. We have 10 other clubs, and we have an RV unit at Eastport, so that if people are traveling, they want to stay at our RV park, then the money there, it's a non-profit. It's based on the same model as Burgeo Broadcasting. Yep. It's non-profit, so we have volunteers that operate that all summer. And essentially, if you stay there, whatever profit is left over at the end of the year, that goes towards as well, paying for transportation. So it's the 10 clubs plus our RV park, and we have a building in St. John's that we cater weddings and hold bingos and that kind of stuff. All the profits that come from that go directly into that fund as well. Yep. On average a year, we spend anywhere from $400,000 to $600,000 a year transporting patients from Newfoundland to the hospitals in Boston, in Philadelphia, and in Montreal. And as an example, the patient that I indicated to you that was injured in a skiing accident in Clarenville, that patient couldn't be transported by ground transportation, and he couldn't go by regular commercial aircraft. It had to be a medevac.
Okay.
So essentially, we had to charter a medevac plane from Philadelphia to come to St. John's. He went on the plane there, and he went with his doctor and a nurse there to Philadelphia directly. So a typical flight would be $50,000 or $60,000 it would cost for a flight like that.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And it's unlikely that most parents would have the financial ability to be able to handle that at the time.
Most definitely not.
All right?
No.
And to access medical care in the United States is extremely expensive.
Yes.
So being able to pay on a daily basis what it would cost for that kind of treatment would be extremely expensive, and most parents wouldn't be able to afford it.
No.
So that's what the Shrine is about. It's about if the need is there and you can't get the care in Newfoundland, then you don't have to, if you qualify as a patient for Shriners, you don't have to worry about the cost. And we have our own hospital, so there's no daily cost. You go to that hospital the same as if you go to hospital anywhere in Canada, and we pick it up rather than the Medicare picking it up.
Yeah.
And so the transportation is paid for, the cost of all the treatment is paid for, the cost of the parent or the guardian staying with the child for the period of time that they're there is paid for. And then your cost back home, your transportation back home is paid for as well. And that's what we raise the funds for. And as you indicated, one of our big fundraisers is our annual Christmas calendar draw, and basically the Christmas calendar draw, we sell the tickets starting in September or October every year, and we sell right up until the last day of November. And the 1st of December we start drawing. And the draws are done on CFCB radio in Corner Brook, live every morning around 8:15, and then we post it on the website. So that if you're not living in the area, that you can get CFCB coverage. And I don't know if you get CFCB coverage out here, do you?
Not sure. Maybe one of the TV channels got it.
Okay. And it might be VOCM for St. John's, but whatever. So they have a website, and we have a web page as well, and a Facebook page. And so every morning then after the draw, we post it there. Plus we have an email list of anybody who wants to be on our email list to get notified every morning. We just send out who the winner was that day, and it just goes out to the email list as well. So the first draw on the 1st of December each year is for $500. And then we have $100 every day of the week. And on Saturday there's $250. Then when we get up to Christmas Eve, there's a draw for $1,000 on Christmas Eve every year. And then at the end of Christmas, the last day of December 31st, we have $500. So there's a chance there's 31 chances to win on a $10 ticket. So basically it costs you about 33 cents a day to get in on the draw. And all of the stubs go back into the draw. Now, I was treasurer for 5 or 6 years, and I don't ever recall having a stub drawn out twice. It's usually always, 31 different winners. So there's 31 different winners, and the prize varies from $100 to $1,000 throughout that time. And on the back of the stub that we have here, we've also got our contact number for anybody who knows a child that might be able to use some assistance from Shriners Hospitals. And there's a website there as well that you can go in and have a look at. And as well, you can see the Shriners International, get information about Shrine if you like. And there's a full list there of the various childhood illnesses and injuries. It includes things like scoliosis, spinal cord injury, spinal deformities, clubfoot and related deformities, osteogenesis imperfecta, which is what's called brittle bone disease. There's a specialty unit in Montreal that treats that for children born with that. Burn injuries, spinal bifida, leg length discrepancies. So sometimes children are born with one leg longer than the other. That we assist with that. We have hand problems, hip disorders associated with children, neuromuscular disease, orthopedic problems resulting from cerebral palsy, missing limbs or limb deficiencies, and in addition, the cleft lip and palate. And the cleft lip and palate is an area that we're doing a lot of research on now, and something perhaps I can come back and tell you a little bit about the research side another time, because we're really doing a lot of focus on research now as well, is that our medical researchers have actually identified a gene that causes cleft lip and palate. And that we see in the future, there's been experimental procedure done now that in utero, before the child is born, that our medical people can actually go in and switch that gene on, so that instead of the child being born with cleft lip and palate, they're born now without having cleft lip and palate, so they have normal facial features.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I know myself, I was born with club feet, right? You know what I mean? And stuff, and Mom spent a lot of times going back and forth to Janeway and all that stuff. Because at the time, I don't even think we had a road fully stable. So Mom had to get on a boat, and then she'd get on a bus and go all the way down there. Well, I mean, too bad that wasn't around at that time.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, to help out.
Yeah, and that's a classic example. Now, because of the fact that our hospitals specialize in Montreal, specialize in looking at orthopedic problems, and clubfoot being one of them, they've developed procedures, for instance, that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get with doctors elsewhere because they haven't practiced in those procedures.
That's right. Yeah.
So had you been referred as a Shriners patient back then, your family, and become a Shriners Shriners patient, what would have happened is that you would have been affiliated with a Montreal hospital, and you would have gone there, and any surgery you needed would have been done at the Montreal hospital. And then you would have been followed up with clinics. We have an outreach clinic in Gander, so that rather than having people fly to Montreal all the time after surgery, they can go to Gander in the fall or in the spring. We cover their hotel costs and that sort of thing. The doctors come down from Montreal, and they do a big clinic there over 2 days and use the facilities at the Gander Hospital. And then you stay on then until, of course, your treatment is finished, or you transfer over into the adult care system.
Yes, boy. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you guys done so much as you did.
It's an organization that works in the background for the most part, but I mean, you have to realize that we're extremely, extremely grateful for the support that the public gives us.
Yes, exactly.
Because while every Shriner in North America pays a certain amount per year to operate our hospital, we pay a dues every year for that, and that raises millions of dollars. And we have many famous Shriners. If you go and look for them, John Wayne was a Shriner, for instance. And a whole bunch of them. When John Wayne died, for instance, he left his estate to Shriners hospitals.
Yes, boy.
And that was invested, and the revenue from that investment goes to help pay for the care for children at the hospital. So we pay for that. But in addition to that, we do these kind of things. So when you see me with my little fez on, or you see another Shriner, we're generally trying to sell you a ticket, or for instance, now on Tuesday past, I cooked 140 flippers, and we sell those, seal flippers. We have those 2 or 3 times a year. And so people come, and we'll raise several $1,000s that way, and that goes towards the fund for the help, right? Help children as well. So we have the this fundraiser, which is a big one. We had the seal flipper dinners. In addition to that, people will make donations directly if they have a desire to do so. And every Friday night on Rogers Cable in Corner Brook, we have what we call our Shriners Bingo. And so we'll have 200 to 300 people that'll play bingo every Friday night, and the revenue from that goes towards it. So between all of it, we raise $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and we donate $30,000 to transportation of children on the west coast of the province to help them. And then we donate another $10,000 to $20,000 a year to research and to operating the hospitals itself.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Lloyd, I mean, this is I think this is very important for anyone out there that is interested in this to take a spot before the end of the month, so that because it's for a worthy cause, and it's great help to any sick children and stuff. And also, you win $100, $500, even $1,000 one there. Right, so
you have 31 chances to win. Right, and you know full well that if you don't win, the money that you put in there is going to help somebody, a family and a child. And that's what was near and dear to my heart, and why I got involved in it, and why I became treasurer starting off, and then vice president, and then president of the club, and now my 2-year term will be finished this year. But I'm going to stay on in public relations and in promoting it, because we need an awareness. We need 2 things. We need to raise the funds, obviously, for those who know about us, but we also need to make sure that if there are parents out there that have a child that they think we could help, that have one of these deformities or issues, orthopedic or burn or whatever, that they know we're available, and that all they have to do is contact myself or contact our patient chair, and we'll get an application to them, and then we'll start the process and see if we can help the child.
Yeah, and well, in my mind, I think this is amazing because at least you know exactly where it's going to, and because there's a lot of fundraisers done and other things, and it goes towards research for something else. You never hear tell of it no more, and at least with this, that is helping the parent as well as helping the kid, is helping the transportation. Yeah. But that's amazing.
Yeah. Now, we're full of, and I support still a lot of other organizations, the Heart Foundation, Cancer, and so on, because I think those kind of funds, when they go into research, makes life better in the future.
That's right.
If you look at the statistics now in cancer, you have a much better chance of surviving cancer now than you did 25 years ago. And that's basically associated with research.
That's right.
And that's where we're going now with trying to find solutions to the whole problem of why are children born with brittle bone disease, osteoimperfecta. We have to find out why that is, so that rather than treating people after they're born, we want to be able to prevent them being born with...
Treat them before they're born, yeah.
That's right. And that way then, of course, what will end up happening is they will have a life where they have much more mobility, better quality of life, and they won't be having to be treated back and forth to the hospital. Yeah. And as I indicated to you, classic example is associated with the with the cliff lip and palate, right? I was going to say spina bifida because we've done some research in that area as well, and there's some interesting research that I'll tell you about later on in that regard. But the cleft lip and palate, essentially because of the research done at Shriners Hospital now in the last 5 years, that will disappear. And rather than having to go and do huge numbers of surgeries every year, eventually the point will be that that child will not have to undergo those surgeries, and the healthcare system won't have to pay the cost of it, and that will be eradicated. That's within the foreseeable future now.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for coming in and giving us this information. I would say to most people it's an eye-opener. Hopefully it is anyway, and more people will get involved in it and give you his little hand. Well, Virgil Broadcasting has supported us. As a matter of fact, we had our President's Appreciation dinner last week, and I was really pleased to invite in your manager, Dave, and we presented the Virgil Broadcasting with a certificate of appreciation called our $100 Million Club. Okay. And the $100 Million Club is essentially once an organization sells so many tickets or assists to the point where they raise a certain amount of money, then we give them a certificate to put on the wall. And Virgil Broadcasting now, in actual fact, is a member of the $100 Million Club because they've been so supportive over the last 5 or 6 years in selling tickets and promoting it. And I want to thank you for this opportunity today to get the message out to people as to what we do, is what Shriners do, and what Shriners hospitals do. And in essence, that if you know of a child, whether it's your own child or a relative or a friend or a grandchild that would fit into one of these categories, and you would like to have them assessed by Shriners Hospital, then get in contact with us. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So thank you very much for doing that. Thank you too, sir. And I appreciate Hopefully it. I will see you again. Well, I look forward to it. Perhaps we'll have another chat about the research that's going on, and because that's a really interesting area and open up a lot of areas. There's 4 or 5 promising areas of research right now, and 1 or 2 of them that we've identified a treatment now that will prevent diseases from occurring. Yep. So that's an interesting area. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.